population. It is a member of the G20. It is a member of the BRICS community. It has a lot and a vast natural endowment and immense diversity. Mr. President, we are all aware that Brazil is going and will go through a period of decisive transformation under your leadership. We are looking forward to hearing your vision. The floor is yours.
Confesso que estou emocionado.
I admit I am very moved,
E me sinto muito honrado
and I do feel very honored to be in a position to address such a distinguished audience.
Hoje em dia, precisa do outro. O Brasil
Currently, we all need each other,
precisa de vocês.
and Brazil
Vocês, com toda
needs
certeza,
you.
parte, precisam
And of
de
course, the same is true the other way around, in that the business community also needs Brazil to a large extent. A good afternoon to all. I thank you for the opportunity to address you on the occasion of the opening session of this plenary meeting. This is the first international meeting I make after I was elected, and it bears evidence of just how much importance I attach to the agendas that have been promoted and prioritized by the World Economic Forum.
uma grande oportunidade.
This trip is also a great opportunity for me to showcase to the world the unique point in time my country is going through, and also an opportunity for me to introduce to all of you the new Brazil that we're building.
Nas eleições, mesmo gastando menos
During the election campaign, even having spent less than $1 million and with only
sendo
a few
injustamente
seconds of TV airtime and having been unfairly attacked all the time, we have nevertheless come out victorious.
numa profunda crise
I took office in Brazil amidst a deep ethical, moral, and economic crisis.
compromisso de
We are committed to changing our history.
primeira vez no Brasil,
For the very first time in Brazil,
montou
a president has set up
de ministros
a team of highly skilled, highly qualified cabinet ministers
não aceitando
by honoring our campaign commitment, by not accepting political and partisan interference, which in the past did nothing but breed state inefficiency and corruption.
gozamos de credibilidade para fazer
We enjoy credibility to carry out the reforms that we need and that the world expects from all of us.
aqui entre nós. Meu ministro da Justiça,
Among us here in Davos is my Minister of Justice, Mr. Sergio Moro,
o homem certo
the right
para combater a
man to
corrupção
fight
e
corruption
para o combate
and
à lavagem
money
de dinheiro.
laundering.
Vamos investir pesado na
We
segurança
will invest
para que
heavily
vocês nos
in safety
visitem
and
com suas
security
famílias.
so that you can comfortably come and visit us with your families. After all, Brazil is one of the very first countries when it comes to natural beauty, but we are currently not among the most visited tourism destinations in the world. Do come and get to know our Amazonian region, our coastline, our beaches, our cities, and our wetlands. Brazil is a paradise, but not yet very well
Somos o
known.
país que mais
We are
preserva
the
o
one
meio
country that
ambiente.
most preserves the
Nenhum outro
environment.
país do mundo
No
tem
other
tantas
country in the world
florestas
has as many
como nós.
forests as we do.
A agricultura se faz presente
Agriculture
em
takes
apenas
place in
9%
no more than
do nosso
9% of our territory, and it has grown thanks to its technology and to farmers' competence.
Menos de 20% do nosso solo
Less than 20% of our soil is devoted to animal husbandry.
em grande parte
These commodities, agricultural commodities, to a large extent have ensured a surplus to our balance of trade and have fed a substantial portion of the world.
é avançar
It is now our mission to make progress in harmonizing environmental preservation and biodiversity on the one hand with the much-needed economic development, while bearing in mind that these are interdependent, inseparable pillars of our society. Those who criticize us have actually a great deal to learn with us.
pelo exemplo.
We wish to govern by example, and we want the world to re-establish the trust and the confidence it has always had
Vamos diminuir a
in
carga
us.
tributária.
We will work to lower the tax burden, streamline rules, and make life easier for those who wish to produce and do business as entrepreneurs. invest and create jobs. We shall work to foster economic stability while respecting and honoring contracts by means of privatization projects and by balancing government accounts. Brazil's economy is still relatively closed to foreign trade, and to change that situation is one of my administration's major commitments. You can be sure that by the end of my term in office, our economic team, led by Minister of Finance Paulo Guedes, will position Brazil in the ranking of the 50 best countries in the world to do business. Our foreign relations will be stepped up and will gain momentum with Minister Ernesto Araújo by implementing a policy where the ideological bias will no longer exist. To that end, we will seek to better integrate Brazil into the world by mainstreaming best international practices, such as those adopted and promoted by the OECD. We will pursue efforts to better integrate Brazil into the world by means of an active advocacy of the WTO reform, with the purpose of eliminating unfair trade practices while guaranteeing legal certainty to our foreign trade flows. We will also restore our values and open up our economy. We will defend family principles and true human rights. We will protect the right to life and to private property, and promote an education system that will prepare our young people to rise to the challenges of the fourth industrial revolution, thereby seeking to alleviate poverty and extreme poverty through knowledge. We are here in Davos because we want not only to deepen our friendship ties, but also deepen our trade relations. Brazil is home to the world's largest biodiversity, and we have abundant mineral resources. We want to engage with partners who master technology so that this marriage translates into progress and development for all. Our actions, make no mistake whatsoever, will certainly attract you to seize great business opportunities, not only to the good of Brazil, but also for the good of the whole world at large. We stand with open arms. I want more than just a great Brazil. I want a world of peace, freedom, and democracy. Our motto is God above all things, and I believe that our relations will yield and bring about countless benefits to all of us. Thank you so very much.
Mr. President, thank you for providing us with such a great insight into what you call the new Brazil. You have elaborated on your policies. May I ask the first question, what concrete steps do you plan to take in the next months to initiate really this process of transformation of Brazil?
Microphone, please. Microphone, please. Microphone, please. Microphone, please. Microphone, please. Microphone, please.
Posso continuar?
Yes, please.
De novo.
We intend to reduce the size of the Brazilian state apparatus and carry out reforms such as the social security reform and also the tax reform. We wish to relieve those who produce and who undertake business projects from the weight of a heavy state. We want to enhance our education, which remains very inefficient. We want to do away with the ideological bias that seems to be there in our business undertakings. There will be no bias on either side, and we wish to foster greater business opportunities with the world and with those who share similar practices and values with us. And through our economic team, we will lower the tax burden. And through our Minister of Foreign Affairs, we will pursue efforts to further and further deepen business opportunities and draw closer and closer ties with all countries in the world. In a nutshell, at this point in time, we represent a turning point in the eyes of the Brazilian people, a turning point where the ideological bias will no longer have a place. Accordingly, it is our understanding that we have a great deal to offer all of you in the business community, and we would very much enjoy the opportunity to engage in partnership projects to the well-being and benefit of our peoples.
One of the issues which damaged the brand of Brazil was corruption. You mentioned it in your speech, but what are your exact plans? You have your Minister for Justice here. What are your exact plans to stamp out corruption in Brazil?
Without a shadow of a doubt, Minister of Justice, Mr. Sérgio Moro, is a well-known man, known to many of you. He has been tasked with the mission of tackling corruption once he was uplifted to the position of Minister of Justice and Security. So he has before him all the means and the wherewithal to, of course, pursue efforts to tackle corruption and to fight organized crime. And we will work not only by changing the existing legislation, but also by enhancing portions of the existing legislation, with which I'm sure we will achieve our purpose and objective. But just as important is the fact that our cabinet ministers as a whole were all appointed from a technical perspective, given their technical skill set and profile, without any political partisan influence. We do need the Brazilian Congress or Parliament, and we do trust that a substantial portion of the Brazilian Parliament will support us in our efforts to fight corruption and money laundering. Brazil will therefore be seen in a very different light abroad.
Mr. President, you mentioned the need for harmony between economic development and also preserving nature and the natural endowment and the immense biodiversity of your country. Could you share with us more details about your plans for sustainability?
The environment must go hand in hand with development efforts. One should not, of course, emphasize one more than the other. In Brazil, we of course have a substantial agribusiness activity, which is known by many of you. It actually accounts for less than 90% of the Brazilian territory, and animal husbandry about 20% of our territory. So it is fair to say that in Brazil we have about 30% of the territory that is essentially made up of forests. So we do have an example to be followed by the world, and we will do everything we can in that agenda. And we plan to work in harmony with the world and in sync with the whole world in terms of decarbonizing the economy, reducing CO2 emissions, and of course, preserving the environment.
Thank you. As one of the largest economy, how are you planning to integrate Brazil into the broader Latin American context? What are the regionalization plans which you have as a priority of your government?
As regards South America, I am quite certain, having discussed with several regional leaders in the continent, I have heard that they all want, of course, Brazil to do well. I believe there is an opportunity to improve a few things within the Mercosur bloc of countries. I have already talked to Argentine President Macri to that effect. I have already held conversations with the President of Chile, Piñera, and also with Mr. Marito from Paraguay. And yes, of course, we are keenly concerned about ensuring that we have a great and vibrant South America, where each country will obviously enough be able to uplift and uphold their local hegemony. We do not want to have a Bolivarian type of America, as used to be the case up until recently in Brazil in past administrations. And I believe that this new way of interacting with South American countries has had a contagion effect among many countries, and more center-right leaders have been successfully elected in these neighboring countries. And I believe it is a clear-cut response, indicating quite clearly that the left wing will not prevail in that region, which is a very good development in my view, not only for Latin America, but for the world at large.
Mr. President, we can also announce that our Latin American summit next year will take place in your country. And this will give an excellent opportunity to see the results of your big transformation efforts. And we all wish you all the best for this transformation. I think Brazil is important for the world. It's a great country. It's important for global nature. It's important for global economy. So all our best wishes accompany you on your journey. Thank you very much for joining on your first trip, the Davos community. And I'm sure the participants here are seeing the great opportunities which your country offers. And I just can add, and the great beauty your country has. Thank you very much again for joining us in Davos.